Welcome to day 5 of the 12 days of Christmas at Laurie's Country Cottage. Today is all about rotary cutters. We have so many rotary cutter products on sale. I have my list here so I don't forget anything. Let's get started. First of all, rotary blades. So we're going to start with the smallest blade, the 18-millimeter blade, and it fits on the tiny cutter. So what do we use the tiny cutter for? We use the tiny cutter mostly for crafts. So the little blades are on sale, as well as the 28-millimeter blades. So that fits this cutter. Why do we use that cutter? That cutter is for crafting and also for cutting curves. So the quick curve ruler, especially the mini, really likes the smaller blades, the 28-millimeter. Then 45-millimeter blades. You know, during COVID, we have had a really tough time getting blades in. The supplier says they're on their way. We'll cross our fingers. So rotary cutter blades for the regular 45-millimeter standard cutter. Also on sale is the 45-millimeter cutter and then the ergonomic cutter. So why would you want the ergonomic cutter? Well, it's called ergonomic, which means it fits really nicely in your hand, and it does. And I really like that. But for me, the most important feature of this cutter is its safety. So you notice I'm squeezing the handle and nothing's happening. That's because it's got a safety lock. So I need to push the button to engage my blade. And if I push the button on the other side, I lock my blade. So if you have little people in your home or you sew in a common area where there are other people, this is just a great safety feature. So that's the ergonomic cutter. We have this cutter as well as the 60-millimeter ergonomic cutter on sale on day 5, 12 days of Christmas. We also have the quick change 45-millimeter cutter on sale. So what's special about this cutter? Well, the first thing that's special is that it's got a nice thick handle with rubber on the handle, so nice to hang on to. You use your thumb to engage the guard, and then this is a right-hand cutter. But if I engage the other guard, it's a left-handed cutter. So it is both a right and left-handed cutter. But the most important thing is the quick change function for the blade. So to change the blade on my cutter, all I do is slide this back. There's my blade. I remove the old blade, put my new blade on, slide my cutter back on, and push. And there's my new blade. And I want to tell you about something else. Have you ever put on a new blade and thought, wow, that's not really cutting as nice as I like? Or you think, do I have a nick? I really didn't hit a pin. Did you know that if you took a drop of sewing machine oil and put it on the guard of your rotary cutter and then closed your cutter and cut through some fabric a few times to distribute the oil over your guard, that lots of times it will help the performance of your blade. There's a handy tip from Laurie's Country Cottage. All right, let's move to the 60-millimeter blades and cutters. So different size packages, singles, 5-packs, and lo and behold, what's with this? This is the endurance blade for the 60-millimeter cutter. The 45-millimeter blade is also on sale. So all of Olfa blades are made from tungsten. But the endurance blades have a proprietary hardener applied to the blades to lengthen their life. So a regular blade, they tell us, cuts about 750 yards of fabric. The endurance blades cut approximately 1,500 yards of fabric. That doesn't mean you leave your blades in for your entire life. I think one of the things that we don't do often enough is change our blades. So endurance blades in 45 millimeter and 60 millimeter are also on sale. Next up, the 45 millimeter rotary cutter from Quilter Select. So if you recognize the name Alex Anderson, she is absolutely a quilting guru. She has the Quilter Select brand, and she has designed this rotary cutter. So what makes it special? Well, it is very weighty in the hand. Boy, you know you're holding a rotary cutter. It's got rubber grips, top and bottom. One of the fabulous things about this cutter is it has a magnetic center to hold your blade, so when you're changing the blade of this cutter, the blade won't fall off. So to use this cutter, you simply press the button that opens the lock, and when I press down, my blade is now exposed. And it doesn't pop back. In order to close my guard, I just tap it on the table. So if I do this, I can't cut. I have to push the button. It locks the guard open, and I tap it to close. And you will notice that this is also right and left-handed by simply flicking a switch. So that is the Quilter Select rotary cutter. Sharon loves this cutter. This is actually Sharon's cutter. I asked her to bring it in today so that I could show the demo. Up next, in its own fancy showcase, because it's Tula Pink. Tula Pink does nothing subtle. Look at this baby. So Tula Pink has her notions in this beautiful iridescent pink and purple. What's special about Tula Pink? Again, this is a substantial cutter. It really, I can feel it in my hand. It is not lightweight. It's got the rubber grip on the bottom and a really nice feel to hold it. So the safety feature on the Tula Pink is it's a two-step unlocking mechanism. So you don't have to worry about kids coming along and sliding the button. You have to push and slide. And then my blade is exposed and I can cut. And in order to close the blade, all I have to do is push the button and it locks in place. This rotary cutter is also left and right-handed. So all you do is take the guard off here, move your blade to this side, put the guard on the back, and it becomes a left-handed cutter. And with this beautiful case, everybody in your home will know, don't touch anything that looks like that. Up next is something that hasn't quite come in yet, but trust me, you're going to love it. I just watched a video. It's called the Blade Saver. So at home, I have 2 rotary cutters of each size. So why do I have that? Well, I have my regular 45 millimeter rotary cutter that I use for my cutting. And when it gets dull, I switch it to my second rotary cutter that I use for paper and batting. And every time I switch this to this, I would take this blade out and it would go to the EcoStation. Well, now I have a new thing to do.
The Blade Saver thread cutter comes in a rainbow of colors, so be sure to check to see what colors are currently available. The Blade Saver thread cutter has 3 pieces. The 2 on the left are the carrying case pieces with magnets to secure it closed and a thumb hole for easy opening and closing. This case doubles as a base stand which will hold the thread cutter in place securely while using it. The idea is to use an old discarded rotary cutting blade. You definitely want to use a 45 millimeter, and there are 2 shapes on the market. There's a wedge center and a circle center. To set up the thread cutter, you're going to need one of those blades and a Phillips head screwdriver. Remove the center screw and set it to the side, and remove the inside piece of the little flower thread cutter. Adjust until you find the perfect placement for that blade inside the thread cutter. Once you've found it, it's time to insert your screw back into its place. And it's really wonderful because of the flower shape. There are a total of 5 places where your blade is exposed for thread cutting. Now insert your thread cutter into the base stand and you are ready to start cutting. Once you get a nice row of chain stitching, you can just real quickly and easily use the exposed parts of that blade to cut your threads. Purple Hobbies is most definitely a family business. In fact, it was the inventor's younger son who came up with the idea of adding a slot at the top of the case, which would double as a stand and, of course, the carrying case. How clever is that? And last but not least, there are 4 little grippers on the bottom of the case/stand, which help keep it nice and secure on your desktop.
I hope I've inspired you to change the blade in your rotary cutter if you've had it in there too long. All of the rotary blades and the rotary cutters and the blade saver I showed you today are on sale for day 5 of the 12 days of Christmas. Remember, put it in your cart, go all the way through the checkout because you only have 23 hours to get this on sale.